All right, welcome to the syllabus introduction video. I'm Dr. Davis. This is Introduction to Social Psychology syllabus for online summer courses. So my office is right there, my email is right there, my phone number is right there. I'm not holding office hours in the summer, but I can be available to meet face-to-face by appointment. Just go ahead and email me if you'd like to set up a meeting. The absolute best way to get a hold of me is to email me. I'm typically checking my email multiple times a day. During the summer on Tuesdays and Thursdays between the hours of 8 a.m. and about 3 p.m. I will probably be sitting in front of my computer working. And if you send me an email during those hours, I can probably get back to you within 24 hours. Weekends, I check my email a little bit less frequently, sometimes up to 48, 72 hours. You may call me. But odds are I won't be in my office and I won't be checking voicemail. So if you need to call me, if you need to talk to me over the phone, just email me to set up a time and day when we can have a phone meeting. Because odds are if you call my office, I won't be there. The text is the Myers text right there, and you will need the text for the course. Now, the goal of this course is sort of twofold. It's to give you an overview into the research of social psychology and to get you an understanding of how people think, feel, and behave, and how the presence of other people affects how people think, feel, and behave. So we'll talk about basic processes in social psychology and how these sort of apply to real world principles and scenarios, but we're also going to spend some time talking about the science behind some of these research findings. Right? So we're not just going to talk about what did the studies find, but we're going to talk about how do they actually do the studies. And I use this course to lay some groundwork so that you can be more successful when you have to take the experimental psychology course that all psychology majors must take to graduate. Generally speaking, the class meetings, obviously it's an online class, materials will be made available on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Because this is a summer course, we are on a very truncated schedule. We basically have 6 weeks to cover an entire semester's worth of material. And so what this means is today, the first week's materials will open on Tuesday, and then the second week's materials will open 2 days from now on Thursday. And what this means is essentially we're going to be doing 2 weeks worth of the course every week of this summer term. All the discussion board post quizzes will be due at midnight, as indicated on the course calendar below, and we'll talk about that briefly. Chicago State University attempts to make educational opportunities available to qualified students regardless of disability. This course follows that policy. If you need some kind of accommodation to participate fully in the course, you need to notify me as soon as humanly possible. As this is Chicago State, there's paperwork that needs to be filled out. And so if you don't get a hold of me soon, then it may be too late to get you the accommodation by the time that you need it. So make sure that you contact me as soon as possible. The course requirements and grading. So the grade that you earn in the course will be determined by the following components. I know it says 12 there. There will actually be 10 quizzes, 10 discussion board posts, and 3 written papers. And the due dates for all of these are listed on the course calendar. This is a points-based class. I put assignments out. There are quizzes. Each question is worth 1 point. If you get it right, you get the point. If you don't, you lose the point. I set up this system to make grading as fair and objective as possible. So theoretically, everyone in the class could get an A. Your final grade at the end of the semester is just the number of points that you have accumulated over the course of the term. Feel free to talk to each other about the materials outside of class, in the discussion boards especially. Just be aware that all papers must be completed individually. All papers will be submitted through turnitin.com, which checks for plagiarism against published sources, but also other papers written by other students at Chicago State. So just make sure that you are writing your own papers, and we'll talk about that when we talk about plagiarism. Generally, there is no extra credit in the class. So don't ask. There might actually, so I say generally there's not, there might actually be extra credits for study participation. If that becomes available, I will let you know. The easiest way to keep track of your grade is to keep a running tally of the number of points that you have lost in the course. I will post all the grades to Moodle, and I will post them pretty actively. And so if you want to know what your grade is right now, the best way to go through is to add up the number of points that you've lost and subtract that from the total points possible in the class. Okay? Because Moodle counts all assignments that are open as a 0 if I haven't graded it yet. So for example, if you turn in your paper and I haven't graded it yet, then Moodle is going to count that as a 0 out of 25. And you're going to look at the Moodle total and it's going to say that you have a 12% in the class. And that's not really true. I just haven't graded it yet. So the best way to keep track is to keep a running tally of the points that you've lost, subtract that from the total points possible, and that'll tell you where you stand. So for example, if you lose 2 points on the first quiz, then the highest number of points that you can earn, this math is wrong because I changed the grading, but if you lose 2 points in the first quiz, the highest grade you could earn would be 248, which is in the A range. If it's the end of the semester and you've count up the number of points you've lost, and so far, including all the papers and quizzes and discussion boards, you've lost 28 points, then that puts your final point total at 221, which is in the top of the B range. Okay. Now, I have a statement in here about your grade is your responsibility. If you disappear from this class, from this online course, if you stop participating, stop taking quizzes, I won't track you down to warn you. I don't do midterm grade, early academic warnings. I post all the grades to Moodle. It's your responsibility to be aware of where you're standing in the class. On the other hand, if you are struggling and you come and find me, I will do everything that I can to help you pass the class. It's your responsibility to come and find me, though. So the course objectives and learning outcomes are here. Every week I will post approximately a 20 to 30 minute PowerPoint lecture via YouTube. You can watch these lectures from your phone, wherever you happen to be. They will be expanding on the weekly readings, and they will be specifically prepared, specifically designed to prepare you for the discussion boards and the quizzes. Oftentimes, the discussion board will center around what I talk about in the web lecture. So if you choose not to watch or listen to the web lecture, then you're going to have a hard time with the discussion boards. The quizzes are worth 10 points each. There are 10 of them. They are multiple choice, and they cover the material from the textbook chapter for that particular topic. Now, I have a really sort of unique way of handling quizzes, and there's a good strategy for quizzes, so I want to go over that with you now. The quizzes are open, so this week's quiz will open on Tuesday, and it will close next Monday at midnight. So each quiz is going to be open for 7 days. While the quiz is open, you can take that quiz as many times as you want. Okay? So you take the quiz, let's say you take the first quiz and you get 7 out of 10 on it and you're not happy with that. Then what you can do is you can retake that quiz as many times as you want to improve your grade. Now there's a couple caveats to this. So caveat number 1 is you're not going to get the same questions every time you take the quiz. Okay, there's a question bank and it will pull randomly 10 questions every time. So you're not going to get the same questions. And there is a 8-minute grace period between each quiz. Right, so the quiz is only 12 minutes long. There's an 8-minute grace period, and then you can take the quiz again. So the strategy here is take the quiz. So first read the textbook, view the online lectures, then take the quiz. Don't spend all of your time looking up the answers because you won't have enough time to look up the answers to every single question. Once the quiz is closed, if you get a perfect score, great. If not, look up the answers to the questions you got wrong. Write them down in your notes just in case those questions come up again. And then you can repeat the quiz until you are happy with the quiz grade that you get. Okay. If you start the quizzes early and you follow this procedure, it is possible to get all 100 of the quiz points in the course. The weekly discussions, there are 10 of them. There are 5 points each, and these interactions take place on Moodle, and there will be specific instructions. I'm looking for substantive posts for full credit. Now, what is a substantive post? It's relevant. It's relevant to previous posts. It advances the conversation in meaningful ways. Things like "I agree," "good idea," or "great post." I think sort of vague posts are not going to get full credit. Okay, one sentence here and there is not going to be a full credit post. The exact number and frequency varies depending on the assignment, but I will evaluate your overall contribution across all the posts that you make to the discussion for that week based on the following rubric. So promptness, how early are you responding? Are all of your posts at 11:30 the night before the deadline? Or are you being active? Are you posting a couple times during the week as the conversation progresses? Delivery, right? Are you using proper English with proper sentences? Typing this like you would a professional email, as opposed to the way that you would type a text to your friend. So making sure that you're using grammatically correct sentences and that you're actually thinking through what you're posting before you post it. Relevance, is this directly related to the topic? Are you able to show that what you're saying is related to the topic? Expressing your opinions in a clear manner, and then overall contributing to the learning community, right? So each one of these is worth a point, and I'll consider all of these when I am evaluating your posts, and I'll give you a rating based on the degree to which you meet these criteria. So make sure you are looking this over, especially early on in the discussion boards, to get a sense of what is going to be a substantive, high-quality discussion post. Another thing about the timeliness, right? So you're going to need to get to these several days before the deadline, right? You kind of want to have a rolling schedule with these discussion board posts, and we'll talk in the How to Be a Good Online Student about setting up a schedule in the next video. Typically posts made 24 hours before the due date are going to be worth less. They're going to be downgraded because of that very first assessment item on the rubric relative to posts made earlier in the week. There are no late discussion posts allowed, right? The discussion's open and then they close, and there are no late discussions allowed. So if you don't get a post in time, then you're going to be out of luck. The written papers, there will be 2 of them, plus the final paper. They're 4 to 5 page papers. Essentially, what you're going to be doing with these papers is you're going to be reading a primary source journal article, and then you're going to be summarizing it and giving an interpretation. And we'll talk about these in more detail in the paper introduction videos. Late paper policies. So the papers are going to be turned into turnitin.com. They're due at 11:59 on the date indicated on the calendar. I have a late paper penalty of 5% for every 24 hours that they're late, until you've lost all possible points. Of course, if you have written documentation of an emergency situation that prevented you from meeting the original deadline, you got into a terrible accident on the highway and both of your hands were lost and amputated, so you couldn't click the send button, and there's a doctor's note and I can call that doctor and talk to them, then I will waive those late penalties. But all assignments must be typed and uploaded to Moodle by the due date. The final paper is going to be an extension of what you do for the regular papers. Instead of me giving you an article to summarize, you will actually go find your own articles and summarize them yourself. So I have down here academic misconduct, cheating on exams. You probably won't run into cheating on exams because they're online quizzes. You can take them as much as you want, and who knows what you're doing when you're taking them. I certainly don't. Plagiarism, on the other hand, is going to be a bigger issue in this class. I have set the turnitin.com settings so that when you submit your papers, you will be able to see the plagiarism report. Plagiarism is just improper. It can be, copying and pasting from Wikipedia, which we're all sort of familiar with, but this can also just be not paraphrasing well enough. All right, so when you're summarizing the articles for the papers in this class, what you're really going to want to do is you're going to want to read the article as best you can, take your own notes on the article, and then put it down for a period of time. Do the dishes, go do something else, wait until tomorrow, and then write your paper based on your notes without looking back at the original article. And then that way you can be guaranteeing that the words that you're putting down on paper are not the same as what is in the actual article. Because if it's the same, it's going to come back as plagiarized. Okay. I think about learning how to write as an ongoing process. So I am not going to, give you a 0 if you have X% plagiarism. But if I see a substantial amount of plagiarism in a paper, your grade will be negatively affected. And if it continues in the next paper, then your grade will be negatively affected again. So you really want to avoid plagiarism as much as you can. And again, this will help you in the long run. I use this class to set up students for success in experimental, and a lot of what we do in experimental involves summarizing other research articles in our own words. So there's some more stuff there. We'll just skip over that. So this is the course calendar. Again, we're starting on a weekly schedule. So today is the Introduction to Online Learning. On Thursday, we will have the Introduction to Psych Science and the Self. And we'll continue on. And all the due dates are listed here. So that is the syllabus introduction video. Once you've completed watching this video, you can continue on to the next video, which will discuss how to be a successful online student.